Okay.
Are you ready for me?
There you go. Maybe that'll work. I don't know. Okay. You ready?
I am ready.
Okay.
You didn't know it'd be this much work, did you? See? All good things.
All good things
Takes time. So, hello everyone. I would like to say welcome, and as I say Swatika, I am Dr. Cesily DeAngelo. I am here to welcome you to another Chiang Mai experience with another healer. So, we're going to introduce Grif Hamilton, a cosmic researcher, also a change agent, healer. And he's going to begin and he's going to tell you a little bit about himself. He just says he's a farmer. Farmers are the best known people from the Mayan Aztecs. As we know, they discover stuff and share things with us. So welcome to my show, Griff.
Thank you, Dr. DeAngelo. That's great. No, thank you. It's lovely to be here. I'm living here in Chiang Mai. I come from New Zealand. My background is actually farming, and among other things, but I'm also a researcher, both from a farming. I studied a lot about permaculture and a lot about sort of using different natural methods of farming, and also I was very successful as a commercial farmer as well, horticulturalist. But so I grew up in the country, did all sorts of farming. It's an interesting time. I am now, my travels have led me to here in Chiang Mai, where I've met some great other healers, change agents, people who are looking to evolve tap into the energies of change that are happening on the planet now. And my research has led me here, and it keeps leading me in all sorts of places, some great connections on the planet, such as Dr. DeAngelo, and I'm heading on. I'm going further and further. There's a lot of change happening frequency-wise. I have done quite a bit of research. I spent time in Guatemala with Don Alejandro and his good wife Elizabeth, and about 5-6 years ago, and then from that and my research of the Mayan calendar, I can see how consciousness is expanding from evolutionary point of view, from the beginning of the creation of Mother Earth, all the way through. All the little animals and all the little trees and plants have kept on expanding their consciousness, and we're part of that. So I use looking at my farming knowledge and experience of farming, and also family, and I map that onto what I see coming through from science, from mythology, and my own adventures. I put it all together. So a bit of I consider a change agent, and I think we're on an exciting journey. We do have some impediments, which I'll explain in a moment, but that's life. If we didn't have the opposite, we wouldn't, if you didn't have a bit of pain, you wouldn't appreciate bliss. So sometimes, love your pain and just do not give into it, but just see, because we are amazing human beings and human gods in some ways. We are an expression of Mother Earth, and the Mother Earth is the original Gaia Fire, who is giving us this energy all the time, and that's beauty about my farming background, as I lived in nature in New Zealand, and I really experienced what it was to just be powered by that, and I think it's actually helped me carry on through life. It's always with me.
Okay, I have a question. What is the difference between when you were a farmer and the difference now in the treatment and the evolution that you're seeing in the farm community and the permaculture community as of now, that is having an effect on different people and the way we farm?
As we all see, there's so much information and controversy coming through now, and we are somewhat misled with a lot of information. I like to tap back into the original information from the Mayans, or else even from my own investigation of permaculture 25, 30 years ago. And we need to go back and focus and try not to get led astray with every new thing that pops up on the internet. I'm amazed to see that things I knew as good and great and wonderful, and someone will post about that and I think that's great, and then the next minute I see someone post pretty much exactly the opposite. So we are being misled and led astray, and I think that goes back to the story, the original story of Gaia Sophia, the Gnostic story, where which I think is really worth researching, the story of the original creation of the energies that we have here, the Mother Earth energies. She did not have it easy, and has not got it easy. But then that challenge also teaches us that we need to take responsibility and also come back to our own heart space and what feels good.
That's amazing. See, most people don't realize that you always got to go back, but also people don't realize your history plays a big part on your future. They just figure the future thing is robotics, electronics, and that's what it's at, and not realizing the programming that is being put in our brain to lead us astray to get off of that path. So, that's what I'm grateful for. We were having conversations about
Toxoplasmosis. Yes, well, some of the things we will discuss here, and some of the terms that we'll be talking about, I suggest that you take a note of them and research yourself later on, because we are going to be discussing some pretty... I do like to play in well, I suppose I call myself a cosmic researcher, but and that becomes from the energy of Gaia Sophia, just knowing that she's created here. She is evolving on her way back to the, originally she came from the original center of the universe, the aeonic energies, and we are part of those energies. So don't get it wrong. You're not a limited being. If we can tap into, and these energies are available to us, and I especially tap into the Gaiac energies. I'm not a person that really goes to an off-world male god. I'm an on-world, and I really appreciate the goddess that we're living upon, that feeds us with birth just through the feminine, which births in our food every day and the frequencies around us. And I live in those, and I really intentionally tap into those, and there's some great information out there, from what I'd consider the Heart Maths organisation in the States, who measure the frequencies on the planet and how our emotions as a community impact on those on the frequencies of the planet. So I connect to that, and I've also seen some great videos, or a great video on YouTube called Diablo Spirit. So that's the story of a Black Panther and an animal whisperer speaking to him consciously. I actually took an example from that, and I use those same energies when I'm dealing with my garden and the birds that I see turn up, the lizards and things. So, and I also had a good friend I spoke to 2 weeks ago about that, and he went on and did it, and then he actually did that with his own child, an 18-month-old child, and he was blown away how she connected with him by thought, and followed his thought, and went and helped him. They were shopping at the time, and he just had a thought, I need potatoes, and he's let go of his 18-month-old daughter, and she walked about 3 aisles and pointed at potatoes. So that is the power of the heart, the power of consciousness. And yeah, it's Mother Earth energy. We are being led into the intellectual side of it, and have been for quite a while. My research goes back to suggest that about 10,000 years ago it started, but especially when we see now in the original Bible where they have the Garden of Eden, and the God came down and said, you shouldn't be knowing about the difference between good and evil, the tree of good and evil, and which is pretty weird, because why not? So the ancient Gnostics had two snakes going up the tree of evolution, the tree of consciousness, and those two snakes were, one was nature, one was basically the what we've got now is the technology, which is okay, but we need to tap in the nature as well. So we need to know the difference between good and evil. And
your friends.
Yeah, my little friends. I got quite a few friends here. Yeah. So they come in. I'm amazed the little animals come and pretty much come and talk to me. But okay, we won't go there. He talks to the animals.
No, that's a good thing, because that means you have a deep connection, but also in different parts of different religion, like Yoruba, they would say that different animals have, and different Native Americans have different totems. It's a reason why they're coming to you, they're revealing to you, they're connecting to you to give you spiritual guidance. So that's what I'm saying. You have a lizard, me and the dogs and the lizards, and had cows follow me, and even a bull follow me on the beach in Koh Samui. I'm trying to figure out, why are all these animals connected to me? I have snails. Now that's the first time I've seen a snail. I've seen butterflies, I've seen slugs, I've seen all kinds of animals that are coming, or they're gravitating to my door or wherever I'm at, especially the two dogs that live here. They stay on my porch for some reason, and I can have I don't know if they know when I'm going to open my door, but when I open my door, guess what? They're sitting right there. So that is really good, is what I'm saying. It's a blessing, because you're not only are you talking to the animals, you're also talking to the plants. You're communicating your thoughts, and you're sending love to them. I don't know if you know about the plant research back in 1979, where the botanist was talking about the plants have feelings and have emotions as well, and they feed off, and they were measuring the measurements of when the plant was sad or whatever. And then the other recent one I seen on YouTube was when the guy went to cut the plant. No, it was on Discovery. They went to cut the plant. It wasn't until it got threatened that the plant vibrate, you could see the vibration when it was being mean or whatever, but thinking it was going to cut it. But it was when you said, okay, now you're picking up the scissors and going, that action thought. So I understand your connection. It makes sense. You're a researcher, you're a cosmic researcher, so you're connecting to the things in the universe which we have forgotten. So I want to thank you for that.
Yes, I think I'm pretty lucky that I had 9 different primary schools when I was young, so I never got trapped into one way of thinking.
Wow.
So so I do look at what I see in nature, and then I do put it together with science, and then spending time in Guatemala, I put it together with the Mayan energies. And one of the big things I'd say about the symbol of the Mayan pyramid is actually the symbol should be changed about the Mayan calendar to one of openness.
Okay.
Turning the pyramid upside down, because every level we've shifted, from the beginning of Mother Earth. So, the beginning of creation. But anyway, each level increases 20-fold. So you're actually, the consciousness that we have as humans has increased, but we're not taking any notice of it. But the consciousness of the planet has also increased, the consciousness of the animals. You get some awesome videos on YouTube, like I say, about Diablo, the black leopard, but I've seen some great videos of animals, the whales in the oceans coming up to the boats and basically asking the guys on the boats to help remove a net. How I'm of the opinion that animals and the consciousness of the planet has woken and is screaming out for humanity to tap back into nature. Certainly what you say about, robots and all that sort of thing, I think is just another program, because the robots have got nothing on what we've got as humans. 1 teaspoon of our DNA can hold and can contain all the information that goes through cyberspace in a year on the planet. So our DNA's got all those sensors. Our cells, our cells pick up signals all the time. And some of the work of Bruce Lipton, Dr. Bruce Lipton, who was a genetic scientist 30 years ago, explains that really well. That the different he had petri dishes when he was doing genetic science in his laboratories, and by rights we're told that we can't change our DNA. Well, he found that if he had petri dishes of different cells in different parts of his laboratory, they would change. They would be different. They would express themselves differently to a certain extent. Probably we've got a base DNA, but there is parts of us, and that's what I also come back to signaling factors, which are the signaling factors like we have when we're born, where as a fetus our cells are growing and adapting to the environment. We have signaling factors, and that's what I personally like to investigate here, is the signaling factors in the plants, and like I spoke about in the fertilized chicken's egg and things like that. Those cells are actually picking in information all the time, and so and then they're putting it in their body. So we really need to open up to nature. She's just there, and you can't. It's like I say about they may fit a male's consciousness in a computer, but they'll never fit Mother Nature, and they'll never fit a lady's consciousness. So these guys and their big calls about robots. I sort of have many friends that have sent me stuff. These are guys, people, ladies and men my age, and I'm a little bit older than most people, but well,
probably not.
But anyway, they send me information worried about this, and I just say, well, that's a psyop, it's a program. Your perception creates your reality.
Hello.
And my studies of the Mayans was that at one stage when the Mayan civilization was massive in South America, then the Spanish conquistadors came, or one shipload of Spanish conquistadors came, and because the Mayans already had a perception that that was a period of time that the gods would reappear to them, they allowed the Spanish to come into their castles and decimate the head people of the leaders of that civilization, and basically they took over a civilization of millions and millions of people with one shipload of people. So our perception will allow this stuff to happen. No, I don't. So I think this robotic stuff. The frequencies on the planet. If we use our heart energy, if we come together, use our heart energy, shift ourselves out of the low survival mode. If we lift ourselves up and dance and sing and enjoy ourselves, it'll blow these guys away. I referred to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and Google Maslow's hierarchy of needs on Google Images. You'll see we raise from survival right up to the levels of self-actualization, and that as human beings is totally our potential. We'll catch up with the planet maybe. So that's sort of my research. I really think we should get back to create our own frequencies with singing, with humming. In my home, and when I was with my grandmother, she'd hum and sing, and when the lady is happy in her home, she'll sing and put out a vibration through the home, and that vibration is like the vibration that you hear here in the morning. The roosters crow, and that is actually waking up. Part of the waking up of all the other creations. In my horticulture many years ago, I came across something called a sonic bloom, which is a little machine that put out a frequency like birds chirping in the morning. And when I put it in my glass houses, I found all the plants near it grew a lot better than the plants further out. So that chirp, 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 and so it had actually impacted the growth of the plants. And so nature and its frequencies are there for us, and the singing of a mother, the humming of a human soul that's happy, or even create the happiness, even if create it. I mean, I'm feeling sad. Okay, well, get up and do a bit of a dance. Get up and do a bit of a song. Put on some nice music. That is what I sort of consider as something that I like to encourage people to do. And then recently I've got into tango, which I think is wow, and that's the dance of the male doing his part and the female dancing inside that energy of the masculine. The masculine, we're pretty straight, some of us masculine, but the feminine energy dances in the energy of the masculine, and so I think there's some great areas there to explore. But I do think technology's got its place. Everything in the yin and the yang, in the yin and the yang symbol, you'll have black with a spot of white in it, and you'll have white with a spot of black in it. Everything's got its variety, it's different parts. And so technology, it can be used to manipulate, but if we can raise our consciousness and be aware of, and be always aware that do not, I do have quite strong boundaries at times. If an energy or a person is not, it just wants to take my energy and wants to stay in that little hole, then I'm afraid I move on. I've got I've got cosmic stuff to play with. Hello. So I drift out and drift in, but I do come back and connect with nature. And coming back to the videos on YouTube, those are great. I've got a Facebook page that I've been creating for a while. It's not very successful yet, but it's called Gaia Awakening Live, and I post a lot of my information to that. And there have been any number of people saying what I'm saying about consciously expanding. We can talk about a lot of even the Franciscan. Well, I don't like to necessarily go there, but there's there is a lot of people that are putting stuff out about the noosphere, about the planetary mind. They say they're going to create an internet mind. Well, the mind's already there. I know that I can connect with people in other countries. I'll be thinking about them and suddenly they'll ring.
Yep.
And if we intentionally start to do that and cultivate those connections, that's the internet. That is where our internet needs to. That's where we need to go, consciously connected. Our own conscious internet.
That's funny because as a kid, I want to say his name is Harold. He was a great man in my life. Taught me how to use my mind. Where I knew he was calling before he called me, and he could find me anywhere. He lived in Delaware, and I'm a person. I've always been a gypsy. So just so you know, this is just not something new. I moved all over the state, and I happened to move to Bridgeport, Pennsylvania. He didn't know that. He didn't know that I moved, and I had my daughter. And he was thinking about me, and I was thinking about him. And that several point, I was at this store called a Wawa. Yeah, Wawa. I got it right. Wawa. I went to Wawa's with my daughter, and he pulls up, and my daughter goes, "Mommy, look!" And I said, "How did you find me?" He said, "Just like when I'm about to call you, but like, hi." He was the one that taught me to develop that gift. I didn't know what it was. I was just like, he said, you need to practice this more and more. And I had a connection with my daughter. She didn't speak until she was 3, and she spoke in sentences. She didn't go that, mama, da. She went, okay, Mom, what is wrong? Why are you feeling sick? Da. And I was sick at the time. And she said that. That was her first words. Mom, why are you sick? What's going on? And I looked, and it shocked me. So now that you're saying that makes perfect sense, because for some reason, but in the I want to say the world psychology world, they were saying she was too dependent on me because she did not speak. There was something psychological wrong with my daughter because she did not speak. But in her mind, and my mother asked her, baby girl, how come you just now speaking? She She said, because I had no reason to speak. And she said, why? She says, my mom knew everything I wanted. She's like, well, how did she know that? My mom just knew, and I did, when she wanted something to eat, when she wanted to do. It's something we do with our children, but as we get older, because we're so immersed in different things, we cut off that connection. But that is something, and I think Harold, he's passed now, taught me that. As a kid, I was 16, and he didn't think my gifts were weird. He just helped me develop them. Like, wherever you are, you think of me. Like, when he was passing, and I said, you're too ornery to die. That was my way of thinking. You're too ornery to die. You're not going to die. And he didn't. He lasted longer than they thought. And then I said, well, I'm coming to the mainland. And it wasn't until my daughter's birthday, and we actually got on the mainland 3 days later, that he crossed over. Before I could get in touch with him, it was like that day I was like, okay, I feel like I need to call him. And then something like the lights, or I don't know what to call it, the energy was like not there, that like you can tap in, and I know if someone's okay, or know if something's not right. Like, I'm like that with my friends. You're probably like that too. Like, I'll call them, like, okay, what's going on? And she'll be like, well, how did you know? I just don't know. So now you're helping me understand that there's a more reasonable cosmic explanation. Is just not like we believe it's woo-woo or it's magic. It's not magic. It's something that we're embedded in us, and the connection to the plants and other people. When we're close, we're able to get that. So thank you very much, because I'm learning stuff too, ladies and gentlemen. As I said, I'm just not here just sitting and taking in the sights as you see as the different restaurants. I'm actually talking to people, and he was talking about his work, and I'm like, wow, I've been learning a lot since I've been here in these last, 9 years since.
3 months or something?
3 months I've been here, and he's done wonderful things, and just been a wonderful person to know, and the work that he's doing. So I'm grateful for that. I wanted to talk about your study with the mushrooms and all the things that you're finding in the your different people you're encountering and helping, because you're not just sitting here like people think. He's actually helping people with different aspects, and I'll let him tell you what different aspects in their lives of, I don't like to say the illness word, but different issues. Or different issues that they're dealing with in this reality, but really is not reality, if that makes sense. You watch that preconception of what the world says they have or do, and you take them to the next level and what they really are. So, does it make sense?
Yeah, well, no, thanks for that. It was, but yeah, so coming back to connecting Mother Nature, yeah, and there's another. I'll come back. Remind me about the feminine in a second. But
okay.
yeah, I'm just every country. I just having started researching the signaling compounds, the growth factors in our bodies that grow us from a baby, and that change and develop and absorb information around us as we grow, and from our families and from the society. I've started researching mushrooms and a lot of foods. Every country's got its own. One paper I found here was 100 ethnomedical plants in Thailand. Now these ones cure cancer, they cure diabetes, they cure Lyme's disease. All these these are ethnomedical, and because they're natural and because they haven't been, they can't be patented as such. Then nobody puts the pharmaceutical companies are not interested. They'd rather hide that information than come out with some drug that's been derived from them, and quite often because they haven't got the synergistic effects of the other parts of the plant, they are not effective, and you become dependent upon them. So that's something I'd love to do, is actually create an organisation that researches traditional medicines, and actually re-embeds that within, and it really re-empowers the grandmothers, re-empowers that wisdom from that's in the knowledge. A lot of people these days say, well, they put the grandma in a home, or the granddad, and then they go and listen to something on well, I don't know, but, I better not get into.
They listen to the futuristic stuff.
they listen to this other stuff. It's very, very, very sterile. It's not organic. It's very sterile, and so. Yeah, I'm just researching, mushrooms, oyster mushrooms being extremely good for cancer, because the mushroom, when it's growing on a compost heap or on a tree, it's designed to break down that and recycle that plant. And so that same cell and the way it works on cancers and things in our own body as well. It'll chews into it and spits it out. And that's why it's quite good to flush keep your liquids up and flush your body. But just become aware that those plants are around us everywhere. We've got dock leaves, we've got burdock, which is an amazing product.
I love burdock.
Yeah, and
yes,
so
yes.
And which goes into the black salve, which is Amish medicine. I could probably, there's quite a few people that we can talk about. There's medicines all around us, and it's our own mental attitude to our best medicine. We just wake up the morning and really put in a system in place where you sort of come away from some unconscious sort of normal routine of another day at work, and another 5 minutes, and I've been there, so I can explain it all. It's not as if I was born, I made anyway, it wasn't as if I was born without these things. So I've been through pretty much a lot of things. I do try to take a lot of challenges on. Nature's all around us. Every country's got its own plants. We don't need to go to China and find ginseng. We'll find that in our own plant. Quite often the plants that grow in the harshest environments have adaptogens for themselves, and also can be taken on to our bodies. Our DNA in our own bodies, we've got a huge amount of DNA that's very similar to plants. And then you've got the looking at your own gut biome, what's happening in your own stomach, the food that you're taking in, and then the prebiotics that feed the the probiotics. So, and that's why I think everybody really should start to go back to see if they can find a village to go back to, get away from the cities. Go back and create an environment like this where you're actually feeding your information and money back into a little environment and supporting it. Mm-hmm. We can still do the internet here, as we're finding. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it plays up, but or else there's a power cut, or there's a flood or something. But that's okay, because you've learned to be a bit sabai. The whole medicine thing. Artemisium is an amazing product, an amazing plant, which I'd encourage. We could spend whole talks on these things. I do notice that the information about Artemisium annui, which is actually originally wormwood. The reason it was called wormwood is it got rid of parasites.
Yes.
Now, one of the big parasites that is on the planet at the moment, which nobody talks about, and it's been here for thousands of years, is called toxoplasmosis. Mm-hmm. Now, if you will research that, and then you'll see that over 50 to 60% of the people on the planet have got that. And then you've got to wonder, why have we not been told about this? We're told about some silly Zika virus, in South America, or there's a big plague coming over here, or this. But those have got nothing on what toxoplasmosis has done and is doing now. Toxo causes schizophrenic problems. It causes, people are depressed. Ladies. It's actually a wives' tale, a wives' wisdom about keeping cats away from women in the early part of their pregnancy. Right. And that's well. I didn't realise that, but when I've spoken to ladies, they say, "Oh yeah, okay, I've been told about that," and I hadn't related that toxoplasmosis to the suicide of that of that woman 2 or 3 years later. Mm-hmm. So toxoplasmosis is I would say it's responsible for a great amount of the depression and suicidal problems we've got on the planet at the moment. So we keep going into all sorts of areas. So just do your own research. Wikipedia's got it there. CDC's even got something on there. You'll notice the CDC information doesn't speak about cats. It'll talk about all these other vermin. But how did the vermin get it in the first place? If you go to the CDC or the information for veterinarians about toxoplasmosis, you'll say it specifically speaks about cats. And I love cats. But so it'd be great if we can find some way of curing the cats of the toxo.
What about giving them wormwood?
I think that's possible, I certainly think it's a way of clearing it, and but cats, going back in ancient history, the original domesticated cat turned up in Babylon about 10,000 years ago, and cats adopted humans. Humans didn't really adopt cats, and so if we look at that, and then we look at the ancient Egyptians suddenly became praising cats. There's a whole lot there, and I mean, just my research has looked at the genetic makeup of the toxo, and where it turned up in Babylon, and then it actually led culture. So all those diseases went into culture after culture after culture and destroyed them. Toxo, bubonic plague is also carried. So these are big controversial issues that are quite shocking. But what I'd like to come back to really is the femininity, in respect that when we look at the Mayan calendar, there was a period about 7,000 years ago where just the influences, just the energies really closed down, where we went into ego. And at that time, it was sort of the suppression of the feminine, both on the planet and in the women. And prior to that time, if you look at the ancient history, prior to that time, you'll see lots of motifs about the feminine dancing and singing and being very powerful. We even had the Amazons there at some stage, and I think they were in the early part of the change as they saw what was coming and decided to stand up against that.
Wow.
So I call on the Amazonian energy and the feminine now. The feminine, is the darkness of the womb. I'm not into an off-planet male god. I'm into, as a farmer, I plant my seeds in the soil.
Right.
I really respect, the power of the feminine, and the tragedy of the mother really is the tragedy of suppression of the feminine in our environment, and both in our own relationships and in the life around us. And that's why I get back out there and there's so much power out there, it's amazing. So connect to that, and the tragedy of the feminine, and in some ways there is a difficulty, the reaction to that suppression, it's almost an addiction to the power of being unseen. And I know when I put power into seeing a woman, to seeing nature, that connection is powerful, and that empowers us both. Just a lady doesn't dress pretty just for her own, she likes to be noticed. Like a child loves to be noticed, they dance for attention. And if we look at the experiments by Emoto, the water scientist, he showed how you had 3 jars of rice, and the jar of rice you gave the most attention and love to grew really well. The jar that you ignored totally didn't grow at all. But the jar that you even gave a bit of attention, even if it was negative, it grew halfway.
Right.
So that's quite often why children are naughty. Even if they're getting negative attention, it's still attention.
Right.
So coming back to the power of the feminine, and just the tragedy of that addiction to the pain of being unseen, and that came from a John Lamb Lash lecture that I heard. There's a pain there that why don't you see me? And then the masculine is being led astray by the intellectual side. So yeah, that's sort of that's that's sort of something that I really would like to see. And when you go out, actually see a person, see the feminine, appreciate her beauty. She's created beautiful. The most beautiful curve on a woman's body is her smile. Her smile. So when you see a smile, then you're being relating to another person.
Right.
So these are sort of the areas that I sort of dwell in. Sometimes I get
No, you're doing good.
track,
I think you didn't get off track. You're doing very good. But what I want to really talk about is what are you doing here to help people? Tell me some of the things that you're doing here to help people, because you're not, like I said, you're not just sitting here being on the computer, because if you have it your way, as you're telling them, I'm just on the computer and I'm just studying, but you're doing some actual work here. You're working with people.
Yeah, well, that's right. I'm working with people mainly around health and around the with the mushrooms, with the egg products, and then also with the we've got a Qigong master here who's been a Frenchman that's been doing 10 years in a monastery in Nepal, and he actually has come here and teaching Qigong plus the pre-Buddhist teachings and the Buddhist teachings. So that the Qigong style, so that's also bringing us back into our body, bringing us back into connection with nature. So sort of setting up seminars to and retreats basically to do that, to bring people here, to give them about good food, to teach them also about the mental, what we think about, we create, and just earth them back into it. So it's around the food. I mean, I just went to the local market yesterday and I came back with a bag of mushrooms, about 5 different mushrooms I've never heard about. So I asked the Thai lady, are these good for you? Yes. So we think we need little white button mushrooms from the supermarket. No, we're surrounded by those, and then the papaya. All of these things have got the signaling molecules. When they're fresh, that food is Gaia's gift to us. I'm sort of with our downloading ego and thinking that we've got to live forever. We forget that life is a revolving, and so really I do not limit myself to a great extent around with food. If somebody says they want to be a vegan, that's fine, but I see that's just thinking that I'm just one person. I'm an ego. But when we look at the nature around us here, I'll see some of my little friendly lizards. One of them turned up on my window the other day, and outside, and I thought, oh, that's cute. Next minute, boom, a bird had just eaten it. And so, and I also think the birds are lovely. But so they're eating, and everything in nature eats everything else. So I think that's an evolution of consciousness. If you're taking on food and you're blessing it and you're accepting its gift, then that actually becomes part of our consciousness, because we're not going to stick around forever.
Right.
We're just going back into the soil, and in some ways I think it'd probably be good if we was put under a tree rather than put in a little
capsule,
box.
whatever. See, but you know what? That there is someone that is doing that. That when you pass, you can actually be grounded up and use this compost and plant it with the tree. And as that tree plants, and I think that's amazing. I wish they would have had this. I wish I would have known about this or had the finances in 2015 with my daughter transition, because that's would have been something that she would have loved to have been, her body going to something that was positive. Friends says, oh, lead her body to science. No. I don't trust that, because if I seen her again in that kind of state, somebody did something, I think I would just totally lose it. I don't think I would be as enlightened as people say. I don't think I would be able to hold my composure.
That's right.
So, but that's what I want to do. I've been seeing it. I seen it. A friend of mine sent me this, and because I said, I just want them to grind me up and just throw me in a wherever, give me back to nature. And that's what I did by cremating her, giving her back to nature. So I was thinking, well, maybe that's what I need to do. But seeing this and being part of the earth and growing and giving back, me passing, giving energy back to this planet and this plant, to me, that's amazing. Now, I don't know about everybody else, but I think that is pretty cool. Have you looked at that, or you just thought of that just now?
I've considered that in respect that I'm considering, just life and its evolution. For myself, giving back, I certainly being aware when you're looking at the ancient knowledge that everything we've got around us now has been here previously. All the pyramids on the planet were all connected. They're all the same sort of information. All of this knowledge was here now. What they're pretending is science now, and what they're pretending is research now, is limiting.
Mm-hmm.
And it's only paid to the people that are working for the companies that
Have a purpose.
they're sucking the energy out of humanity. The original Gaia Sapphire story is that she came from the universe and came and fell out of the universe basically because of her love for her creation. Mm-hmm. And in that fall she actually upset some sort of like a big brother situation.
Wow.
And so the negative situation there is spending its time trying to limit the consciousness expanding.
Wow.
So we are seeing everywhere around us the limiting and the control, and it's about time us as human beings now to grow up. We've had our time of being told you're naughty, you should do this and you should do that. As an adolescent, you always learn to rebel, and I think it's time to rebel. I think it's time to say, well, get lost, older brother. I'm growing up now. I've grown up, and you can't keep me in a box anymore. Let's take So we've come to a place where pretty much all the institutions are being controlled by being controlled by supposedly this older brother, the ancient energy, which is called archaic energy,
Mm-hmm.
and so. We need to see, that archaic energy, which is a lower frequency, is a lower life form, is restricting our every move, and that's where consciousness has got past that, or nature's got past that. Us as humans, we've been, kept in a program, and like we see at the moment, this robot stuff is ridiculous, but so many people are thinking about it. And like I say, if we connect as a planet, connect with Heart Mass Organisation, they do have a global meditation.
Okay.
And come into that and start working, if we, all connected and did a sort of a 24-hour round clock meditation with
Wow,
those,
that's nice.
coming from the heart and just connecting and projecting, then we'd start to move the energy on the whole planet.
Oh,
I mean, that's Mother Nature. She is there. So research, that, and like I say, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. My theory on the Mayan calendar is we're expanding, so the pyramid needs to be turned upside,
Mm-hmm.
and connect back into nature because she's already awake.
We're the one asleep.
So I'm coming back to the plants, of course. I'm going to be doing retreats here, probably even month retreats, because it takes a while for people to wake up. I know one of my friends who is a Samoan, a big Samoan man, who actually introduced me to one of these things. I met him at a Vipassana camp years ago, and he says, "John, you should try this, get into this." And I didn't want to go away. John, try this. And anyway, I tried it, and that certainly helped me, and that actually helped him to balance the serotonin in the mind and that sort of thing. And then from there, I've taken on the other research about the other things that also help to break that mind dullness that'll trap her in. So that's what I'll be doing here, is retreats along those lines. There's some other great things there we'd add included into that, which will be sort of Wim Hof's information about Wim Hof teaches people how to breathe, how to stay under freezing ice for an hour. Well, he stays under, but anyway, a few minutes, which actually re-stimulates all your organs and all your stem cells. The Qigong they do here is, that's once again stimulating your energy, your stem cells, rebirthing your body. When we get old, we think, the society around us says we should be getting old, but no, we should just put a bit of extra effort into staying young, and the research is out there.
Yep.
because we've got stuff to pass on.
See, you have a purpose here, and we have much purposes. So I'm looking for, ladies and gentlemen, at the bottom you're going to find out Griff's information at the bottom of the screen of the YouTube video. So if you're watching this on Facebook, you want to go to the YouTube video of Dr. Cesily DeAngelo and get his information. Like he said, he's doing a retreat. You'll be able to email him and get his contact information. Especially you want to be here to get some of the work and be part of this energy changing of your mind and to evolve. So if you're looking to evolve and let your mind go, then you want to contact Griff and be part of this, because you never know who you might experience, who you might meet, and the things, like he said, just mention 1 or 2 retreats that he's doing, so you never know. You could be what we call on the turning edge of something that could be just monumental in your life and taking a monumental change. So this is the experience of meeting Chiang Mai healers, and this is my 3rd experience. And he talked about some of the things that is also, believe it or not, I talk about wormwood in my 2nd book called Alchemist Culinary Alchemy book. So you didn't even know that. I put that in there just last night on part 2, and I was giving people different things that they could actually use it for. So thank you. I mean, so everything is about synchronicity.
Synchronicity, yeah.
Yes.
So true, so true. Just keep an eye on, and actually that's something we see in the mind. People talk about this Mandela effect, and that's, I'll keep this one quietish, but there is a sudden shift, and you'll think, wow, that was different to that now. So that's something to keep in mind, that not everything you see around you is necessarily going to stay the same.
Correct.
And it may change, and not necessarily in a bad way, but keep an open mind and don't go into fear.
Thank you. See, he helped me conquer a fear too. So I didn't have a fear, just trusted in spirit, and that's when I went to bed. Everything is going to be okay. Everything is going to be all right. And I woke up and I said, I'm going to be, I don't want to be late. That's what was on my mind. I don't want to be late. I don't want to be late. And then I'm like, it's raining. It's 10 o'clock and it's raining. Should I walk? And then lo and behold, 15 minutes later, as I'm waiting for the rain to stop because I don't have an umbrella here. I'm in the country, so I'm like, I don't need an umbrella. And he comes up. So it's about perfect timing. So that was really great. And we're started a little bit late, but I love the energy. And again, like I said, ladies and gentlemen, I really want you to reach out to Griff and contact him and get started with these retreats. Hopefully he'll be putting up his Facebook website or internet, and you'll be part of it to give him a more reason to get this website done so we can get this published and so more people know. So when we're going, if I'm in the Philippines, I can say, look, there's such and such. If I'm in Korea, I can say, look, this is what's going on in Thailand. When I come back to Hawaii, look, there's this great guy that I can send them to, because now you have a website. Because us Americans, we need to see, this video is nice, but we want to see a website. So if we see a website or we see testimonies, which is basically what's going on right now, is a testimony of me knowing and validating Griff and him validating me as well. We're validating each other. It gives concrete for some people in America, because we need to see, for us to say, okay, I want to be part of that. If it's quietly kept, some of us just, it is what it is. But if it's loud, we have a tendency to believe it. That's just the way the mind is programmed. But the quiet it is, we think, oh, there's not, somebody's not behind it, so it can't be all that great. But the quietest thing that's kept is the biggest secret and the biggest thing for healing. So he's the quietest thing that's kept. He didn't even toot his own horn when he met me. He just asked me what I did, and that was that. And next thing I know, somebody else was tooting his horn, and I was like, well, why don't I have you on my interview? And I scooped up my interview. So I did promise you I would get my interview, and I got him. I got him right here. I got Griff, because I was talking about you before. So when I say whatever you want, you can have manifestation. He actually showed you and told you what you think, and how powerful your brain, your mind can make things happen, and that we do have that power within ourselves. That's what I wanted, and I got my interview, so I'm happy. I don't know about you.
No, that's great. So yeah, I encourage the feminine to connect to the groups. Basically, you really see that, just the tragedy of the mother. So it's an environmentalist and a feminine movement. Because we really need to take the planet back, yeah.
We're going to do that. That's our goal.
There was one video I saw on YouTube, possibly many might have seen it, of a lady in the US was talking about the dark of the womb, but coming back to that power of the dark of the womb, which is where fertility, where growth happens. We don't, like I say, going offshore, okay, off planet is, that can tend to distract us. I've had all that training myself, and certainly, but there's been too much emphasis on leaving it to some other energy.
Right.
We need to take it back. We need to take it back and connect, come into heart energy, and focus. And that's where you look at the heart maths information, Diablo.
Yes.
And even Anastasia from the Ringing Cedars series, and it's a series of books from Vedic information from the Russia, that's a beautiful information as well. So yeah, I put those three together.
See, and the thing is, a lot of people are waiting for the aliens to come and save us from everything. Like, we're looking for outside the realm of the universe. Like, the aliens are going to come and save us, and we're going to be okay. And we save our own selves, and we don't realize that we're our own savior. You don't have to look outside yourself. We are your own saviors, because it's programmed in us. It's in our DNA. We just, like you said, got to go back and get in touch with ourselves. This is why I believe in meditation, because we can train our body to heal ourselves. But using Qigong, it does something to the body. I used to do Qigong a lot. I've gotten lazy over the years. And then I did a little bit of Tai Chi, but to me, Tai Chi is like a little bit of Qigong for me. But the Qigong that I did, I know it has its background history and helping medicine-wise. It's a form of medicine that goes internally in the body and start actually repairing. I've seen the work. I've seen the people that have done Qigong for years, and seeing that what they call this, something like your chakra, it's spinning, and it starts repairing stuff. So that's great that you're working with the Qigong master that you have, and that is just now being tapped in America and other places. They're just now starting to find out that you have it here, and you have someone that works with you and all of this. So this is great. So you see the abundance of information and things you'll be able to connect with when you come and get these retreats. So.
Yes, we're on a journey. I personally do not think the path ahead is written for us. So I think it's up to us to write it, no matter whether you consider the aliens or whatever, or virtual. I know that when I'm in my power, when I'm enjoying life the most, is when I'm stepping into my passions. I think if it feels good, step into it, and if we write it ourselves, nobody's going to save us. They don't have to. If we use our own resources, we can do it ourselves.
That's true. So, okay, so we're going to do another interview. Hopefully I can, I'll be leaving on the 19th, so what is today, the 16th?
17, 16, I'm not too sure.
Oh, gosh.
This is Thailand.
See, we don't realize about time. It's just another day, and it goes on. But I leave the 19th, and I'll be going to Bangkok, and then from Bangkok to Philippines. So I'm trying to get all these YouTube videos to you guys and gals live, so you can get in contact. And like I said, I'll have Griff's information at the bottom, so please look for it. And we are going to have fun, and look forward to doing interviews when I come back. I will be coming back to Thailand, and I would like to possibly do the retreat and talk to some of the people in the retreat for you guys experience what it's like to actually get this done. Mm-hmm. So I look forward to that happening, and I'm going to say to you guys what I always say. Thank my guests, of course. That done. Saying love, life, longevity, and love and prosperity to everybody. Blessings.
Blessings, and stay attentive to the funny things that happen around you.
Alrighty. So you might want to check your camera too, because I know mine's is like, okay.